Welcome to the bright side of 50. Hey, y'all. Hey, welcome to another episode of the bright side of 50 with Carla Palmer. Happy Monday. It's November, you guys. Can you believe it is November already? I just feel like this year has gone by so quickly. I feel like the new year started I don't know, 2 months ago is what it feels like. But we have just gone through this year in a blink of an eye. And here we are in the beginning of November. Good grief. All right. So let me get to this. Let me get to the point. I am starting to get very concerned about the safety of this single life, right? Living in this world as single women in midlife. We're not as agile or as fast and as strong as we used to be. And sometimes I feel like we are just sitting ducks. And I wanted to talk about this because I had an experience that really shook me. Let me tell you this story. I got a couple stories to tell you today. So grab your tea. We're going to have about 15 to 20 minutes of story time. So my sister, she's in town. She's visiting. You know, we are having a good old time. But one of the things about living in Los Angeles is the parking often sucks. I have an apartment, but where I live, there is an auto mechanic down the street who takes the cars after 5 and comes and parks them on my street where my apartment is. So there's that. And then there's also street cleaning. So on certain days of the week, Wednesdays and Thursdays, your car can't be on one side or the other, right? So Wednesdays, there's one side of the street that you can park on from 9 to 12. And then Thursdays, there's another side of the street you can park on between 9 and 12. And the other side has to be clear for the street sweeping. It's all a money-making thing, but whatever. So Thursday, I get up and I'm like, oh, I want to go to the gym. Well, the gym is near me. It's not far at all. It's about, I don't know, quarter of a mile, really not far. So you can walk there. So I get up, I head to the gym, walking through my neighborhood because I can't move my car. So I'm walking through my neighborhood and I feel like it's peaceful. It's about 7:05 a.m. And I always walk with either one earbud in and one out, or no earbuds in and just my phone. If I want music on or some kind of podcast that I'm listening to, I always have it where there is an ear that's free so that I can hear what's going on around me. So because it was early in the morning and I didn't see a ton of people walking through the neighborhood yet, I decided that I didn't want to have either of my ears plugged up. I wanted to make sure that I could hear anybody coming around me or anything going on around me. So I'm walking and you know, you feel somebody's watching you or somebody's behind you. And I keep my head on a swivel when it's early in the morning or late at night. My head is on swivel, y'all. I do not mess around in these streets when I'm walking. And because it's early morning and there aren't a lot of people who can see something that happens to you, I'm like, what you're not going to do is creep up on me if I can help it. So I'm walking and I feel that somebody is behind me. So I look out the corner of my eye, kind of take my head and turn it to the side. I don't swoop around like I'm scared, but I feel like somebody's approaching me. So I look out of the corner of my eye and I see that there is a man kind of hurrying behind me. And he looks kind of jittery. And I'm like, oh, no, this is not a good situation. So I start to hurry up a little bit. I don't run, but I start to walk a little faster because I want to get to the main street because I know that there will be people, cars passing by. So I get to the main street, luckily. And as soon as I get to the main street, he's hurried up and caught up to me. And he says to me, you married? Very aggressive. This man, he was dirty. He was very aggressive. He had something in his mouth. He looked like he was on some kind of drug. Maybe he had just taken it that morning. I don't know. But this man was aggressive. So he was like, "Are you married?" And I said, "Oh, yes, I am." And I said it with confidence because sometimes that works. One of the things that helps us to stay a little safer is to not act like we're scared, but to respond in confidence let people know that you see them. And so I said, "Yes, I am." And he was like, "Well, you got a fat, you know what," talking about my butt. And I'm like, "That's not very nice." I said that with confidence, hoping that that would send him away. And he basically said, I can't repeat the words that he said, but it was very obscene. It was super rude. He was basically like, "I don't care. I would blank that blank up. I will blank you, blah, blah." Like he just starts spitting out all of these obscenities and he's getting closer to me. Like he's going to come over and like do either touch me or walk with me across the street. Like he going to make me recognize him. Now I'm terrified. I don't scare that easily. And usually when I puff back up with people, they leave me alone. This was not happening with this guy. Luckily, I made contact with a man who was at the stoplight. He was on his way to do, I think, some construction work or something because he had on a yellow, orange kind of like vest, right? And we make eye contact and he looks at me like, "I got you. If this fool does anything, I got you." And so I was a little bit relieved. And so I ran out into the street kind of closer to this truck where this man was. And he inched his truck up a little bit, so that he could try to put some space in between me and the crazy man. And so again, he looks at me like, "I got you." And I don't know if he really would have had me, but the way that he was looking and the way that he was kind of nodding his head like, "You good, sis?" I was like, thank God. And so I ended up crossing the street and he's still yelling at me, but he doesn't cross the street with me, but he's still yelling his obscenities or whatever. And I make it across the street and I'm headed towards the gym, but I don't want him to see that I'm going to the gym. So I kind of stayed put behind a truck that was unloading at the grocery store. And so I just kind of stayed put over there because there were some guys there who were unloading this grocery store truck. And then I see this guy kind of go down the street around the corner back into the neighborhood from where I came. I am like, oh my gosh, what just happened? I'm shook. When I say look, your girl was shooketh, as people say. I could barely take myself in the gym and do my workout. There was this terror in me that existed throughout my workout. Like this man is going to come into the gym while I'm on this elliptical machine and he's going to do something terrible to me. It was so bad. I ended up doing my workout and then I was like, well, you got to walk back home. Now what you going to do? Because I knew the area probably that guy came from, because even though I live in a, semi, I would call it safe. People would, term this neighborhood a safe neighborhood if they had to put a label on it. I knew where he came from because there is a main street that has a community of unhoused people, and they also do drugs over there. And it's just getting worse and worse. And there's a lot of trash and there's cars that are parked that are inoperable. And I was assuming because of where he came up behind me initially that he came from that street in that area. That's getting close to the main street. There are two kind of main streets, but there's one main street where there are lots of cars. And then there's another street that's more like a main street where cars go back and forth very frequently. So he came from that particular street. So I know where he came from. And so on the way home, I'm like, well, which way you going to go, girl? What you going to do? But first of all, don't put these headphones in. You're going to go home the way that you came. And that is no headphones, no music. Keep your head on swivel and make it to the house. And so luckily I was able to do that. There were more cars out at that time because I'd been at the gym for an hour, but I made it home and I was safe and I was grateful. And I said to myself, these times are getting so bad. I mean, they've always been a little dangerous, especially for single women, but they're getting so bad. What can we do to make sure that we are as safe as possible? I don't know if we'll ever be completely safe out here in these crazy streets. And I don't know where you live, because I know people listening in are listening in from all different places around the world, around the nation. But listen, we got to be as safe as possible. Those of us who are single need to be as safe as possible. And we need to respond to situations in ways that are wise. Now for the next story that I wanted to tell you today. This story is a story that I could have responded differently, because the way I responded could have landed me in a lot of trouble, maybe even dead if I really think about it. So here's the second story. I went to a restaurant one night. I'd already been in one restaurant. Now I go out all the time by myself. I'm going to restaurants. I'm having my wine. Like, I'm doing my thing. Like, that's how I live my life, right? So I am always like solo for the most part. So I go to one restaurant. I have my dinner. And then on the way home, like kind of right around the corner, I see there is a new restaurant that opened up. And it's probably been about a year or two since this happened. But I want to tell you this story because you can see my reaction was foolish. And I don't want you to do that. Okay. So, and I want you to watch out for these crazy kind of people. So I was like, oh, look, a new restaurant. And they had outdoor seating. It was beautiful. And so it was like in one of the little beach areas around LA. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to have another glass of wine, because I had a glass of wine where I was, but I wanted to stop in, check out this restaurant. I love checking out new restaurants. I am a sucker for a good vibe, a beautiful setting, a gorgeous atmosphere. And so I said, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to go to the bar. I'm going to grab a glass of wine and I'm going to look at the menu, see what they offer. And maybe I'll come back here if I like the vibe for dinner one day in the future. So I go in, I sit down. They have Afro beats playing. I'm like, wait, what? You wouldn't even think this setting would have Afro beats. So they have Afro beats playing. It's a gorgeous venue. And so I seat myself at the bar. The bartender is lovely. We're chatting. He's telling me about the menu, telling me about the concept, all the things, right? Mediterranean food. And it's beautiful. So I get my drink. I'm sitting there. I'm having my wine. The bar starts to, people start to come in and sit at the bar. So there's, people sitting on over to my left, and then there's no seat open. There's a seat open over to my right. So this guy comes in and, I talk to people all the time. That's just what I do. That's just my personality. You sit at the bar because you want to chat. That's the normal way to sit at the bar and operate at the bar. So I'm sitting there. I'm having my wine. This guy comes in. He's over to my right. He sits down and he's like, oh, what are you drinking? And I was like, I'm drinking a really good red. And I tell him which one it is on the menu. And I was like, if you're looking for wine, like, this is a good one. You should try it if you like red wine. And he's like, oh, okay. So then he says to the bartender when he comes over, he says, hey, give me your most expensive glass of red wine on your menu. Doesn't ask for the one that I have. Just being, arrogant, whatever. So the guy says, okay, no problem. Pours him a glass of wine. And, he sits down and he's like, oh, what's your name? And I think I told him my name. I never have a problem telling people my name, but, put a little pin in that. Maybe that's something we shouldn't do so quickly. So I told him my name. I asked him his name. He told me his name. He seemed okay, but he looked a little nervous. He had some sort of like nervous vibe that I couldn't really put my finger on. But I'm like, I don't know about this man, but I'm going to treat him kindly like I treat other people when I sit at the bar. We're going to chat or not. So, he's like, oh, did you have dinner? I said, no, I didn't. I just, had dinner somewhere else. I came for a glass of wine. It's been a while, so I don't know if I can say verbatim the exchange that we had, but I can tell you the gist of the conversation. So we chatted for a while, like a couple minutes. He said he was from Canada. He had a ring on too, by the way. He had on a wedding ring. So he said he was from Canada and he was here, for business for a day or whatever. And he asked me, do you live around here? Right? And I said, not too far. I didn't say where. He goes, oh, like where? How far? And I was like, not too far. And he was like, oh, okay. We should go to your place. Excuse me, sir? He said, we should go to your place. And I said, for what? I was like, absolutely not. I'm not sure like what you think this is, but absolutely not. Right? Me puffing up like I say I do to kind of like let people know you're like, hey, your girl is not a sucker. I'm not a scaredy cat. Like, don't mess with me kind of thing. Now, mind you, I have no mace with me in my purse. I have no kind of whistle. I have no kind of protection with me at all. Didn't on my walk either. Let's just note that I didn't have that on my walk either. So I'm just like offended and irritated with him at this point. And so I stopped talking to him. I should have left, but I stopped talking to him when he said that. And then he looked down at my phone because the light came on or something. I don't know if I got a text message or whatever, but he saw my screensaver and he was like, where's that? And I was like, this man's going to keep talking to me. So I was like, oh, that's me and my friend. We went to Italy. And he was like, I can take you to Italy. I said, I don't need you to take me anywhere. I don't need you to take me anywhere. Clearly, you see, I'm in Italy with my friend. I don't need a man to take me anywhere. And then he whispered something. And I said, what did you say? And he said, I cannot say these words on my podcast, but I hope you can insert the proper words when I tell you the blank. Maybe I'll tell you the letter of the word. So he says to me when I said, what did you say? Because I thought I heard something, but I'm like, nah, I didn't hear what I think I heard. So I said, what did you say? And he said, I'm imagining your mouth on my and something else. I didn't hear the rest because by the time he said the word, I was infuriated. So I looked at him in his face and then I said, bartender, come over here, please. So this is the response that I shouldn't have had. I said, bartender, come over here, please. And I'm very loud. And so other people at the bar can hear me. And I said, this man is harassing me. I said probably some obscenities. He's harassing me. And I was like, you need to know who's sitting at your bar. And I was like, he's a disgusting human being. I was like, I want my check. I want my check now. And the bartender was like looking at the man like, what the heck did you do to her? So he says, okay, no problem. People are looking. He comes and gives me the check. This man that's talking trash to me is basically mortified that I've put him on blast. His face looks like, oh my gosh, this lady I thought was a prostitute, because I know that's what he thought I was. This lady who I thought was a prostitute and here to pick up guys with money is not what I thought she was. And so the bartender comes over. He does it very quickly, gives me the check, and I take the check and I slam it, kind of like slam it in front of the douchebag. And I said, as a matter of fact, I'm not paying for this. You ruined my evening. You can pay for my wine. And I left. I got my bag, my purse, and I walked out of there. Y'all, he was like, okay. Like basically like, shut up, calm down. You are making a scene that I didn't expect. And this is embarrassing for me, which he should have been embarrassed, by the way. This is embarrassing for me. You're a crazy lady and I'm not crazy. But listen, it was just a reaction. It was a reaction that I shouldn't have had. I should have had more composure. I should have been more discreet in excusing myself from that environment. I should have asked to be escorted by someone at that restaurant to my car to make sure that I was safe going to my car. I shouldn't have said anything, called the man a name. I shouldn't have cursed at him. I shouldn't have done any of that. I don't know if he had a gun. I don't know if he had a knife. I don't know if he had a weapon. I don't know if he was going to follow me out to my car. It was a foolish response. But it was the response that I had. And in hindsight is always 20/20, isn't it? In hindsight, I was like, girl, you just put yourself in even more danger than you were in sitting there next to the douchebag having this disgusting conversation or exchange. So I tell that story to tell you, don't do that ever again, Carla. And if you're listening to this, don't you ever do that. Don't ever blow up and go sideways on somebody who is harassing you. Like, it is just not a smart thing to do. So with those two stories, what did we learn? One, we learned that if you're going to walk and be as safe as possible, make sure that someone knows where you're going. I should have let my sister know that I was going for a walk, or I should have text messaged my son to let him know that I was going for a walk to the gym. This is the time that I'm leaving the house. I should have, what could I have done differently with the guy at the corner who was telling me what he would do to me? What could I have done differently? Well, I didn't have my headphones in, so that's a plus. I made eye contact with someone who was driving a car on the road so that he could see the exchange that I was having with this man who was going to basically try to harm me, or saying that he would. So I made eye contact with somebody so somebody knew what was going on. I could have possibly, I don't know, had some kind of app that warns people that you're in trouble, that you're in jeopardy. There are apps for that. I don't know the names of them, but there are apps that single women can install on their phones to let people know that they're in danger. So I could have done that. I definitely should have been walking with my mace and a whistle for safety, or at least to alert people that something's going on, and to spray him if he were to come over and put his hands on me. I could have at least sprayed the man and like run, or the police station wasn't that far either. So I could have done something, could have gotten myself some time and some space to run to the gym or to somewhere that was safe for me to get away from this man. So I should have had my mace with me, or my pepper spray. We should always get that, guys. We should always have that. It should always be full. It should always be ready to use. And we should, if we're walking at night or walking in the morning, early in the morning, we should carry it with us, and it should be in our hand. It should be in our hand. That's what I think. Now, you do your research on best practices or whatever, but when I'm thinking of this situation for myself, I should have been prepared to defend myself, and I wasn't. And I found myself looking at a stranger who was in a car, who seemed like a nice man, who looked like he might be able to support or help if something crazier than what was taking place were to go down. But I don't know. I don't know that man. That man didn't owe me anything. He didn't owe me support. He didn't owe me any sort of like, hey, I got you. I'll get out of the car. I'll run over this guy. Like, he didn't owe me any of that. But it just looked like he might be able to help me if he needed to. So I wasn't prepared as I should have been, but I also wasn't completely oblivious to what was going on behind me. I felt the man walking up because I didn't have my ears plugged. I put my head on swivel because I wanted to see if I was correct in what I was feeling, and I was. So I was able to hurry and create enough distance in between us for me to make it to the corner where there were cars going by who would be able to see if there was any attack that was going to go down. They would have been able to see something happening to me. So I did some things right, but I didn't fully have myself as covered as I possibly could have been to lessen the chances of me getting attacked. When it comes to what happened at the bar, then, like I said, I never should have reacted to the man in that way. I should have removed myself from the situation when he asked me where I lived and said we should go to my house. Like, there were moments in that as it was escalating where I could have easily removed myself from the situation and not been so arrogant and confident in like, hey, I'm here, I'm having a drink. Like, I get to sit here and do what I want. I'll just stop talking to you. No, I should have left, and I should have told the bartender over to the side somewhere, or gone out and told the host, hey, there's a gentleman in there who is being sexual and he's harassing your guest at the restaurant. So I should have done those things, and I also should have had my mace with me or my pepper spray. Ladies, we have to be safe. We have to be safe. Stay aware and trust your intuition, right? My intuition was that somebody was following me, and I knew it. And I looked back and there he was. My intuition was, this guy seems a little weird, a little awkward at the bar. Maybe I shouldn't engage with him, but I did. So I didn't trust my intuition there. So, listen, our lives depend on us being safe. Our lives depend on us having great setup check-in systems. I know we're independent and we don't need to be checking in with anybody. Your life could depend on it. Check in with your child or your son or your daughter. If you're a person who has children, check in with your nieces and nephews. Check in with your best girlfriends. Let them know what you're doing, where you're going. It's okay. Like, it's okay for people to be in your business a little bit. because you need somebody to know where you were, where your steps are, and if they need to come and find you or need to come and help you or send someone to help you, or there's an investigation on your whereabouts and what happened to you or what's happening to you, people know quickly where to locate you or how to help locate you and come to your safety, your rescue. So also, I don't walk to the gym on the same day. I don't go on my evening walks on the same day. Like, I don't have the same routine because we need to blend up that routine because you never know who's watching you. I know the area that guy came from, so I wouldn't want to take the same route, same time of day, the same day to go to the gym because he would then see me and know, oh, this lady comes out at this time, I'm going to hide or I'm going to be on the lookout and I'm going to attack her. Or anybody you might not even know is watching you. So, make some small adjustments to the way that you do your everyday routine and add those layers of security that need to be in place in order to help you stay as safe as possible. Also, I see a lot of people walking, in secluded areas. And I'm like, wow, lady, like, you don't know how unsafe this is. Like, you don't know that you shouldn't be over here at dawn. Like, you don't know that. You don't know it's about to get dark. Like, you don't know who's in the crevices and the little corners of these places. Don't do that. Like, you're just setting yourself up to be a sitting duck even more and to be harmed in some way because there are people around here who are looking for ways to prey on people and to attack people and to get their needs met. We live in a society, in an economy right now where people are just doing desperate measures to survive. We also live in a world right now where there are lots of mental health issues that people have. There is lots of drug use that's happening right now. So the combination of these things make the world a very unsafe place for many of us, especially those of us who are operating, moving throughout the world alone. So I need us to have these things in place, the safety, the double checking with the security, not walking to your car, being on your phone. Like, get off the phone as you're walking to your car. And when you get in your car, lock the door immediately. Get in the car, lock the door, start the car, get on your way. Park the car, get out of the car. Don't be on the phone. Get into the place that you're going. Stop sitting in the car and looking at Instagram and memes and laughing or text messaging people or having a phone conversation. Get to the car safely without the phone being on. Get in the car and get on your way. Get to your destination, park the car, get out, keep your head on swivel. If you need to have your mace or your pepper spray, have that in hand. Let people know where you're going. If there's somebody in your life that you trust, let them have your locations set so that they know where you're going. My son knows all my locations. Hey, I see you've been at X place for quite a while. You good? And I'm like, oh, that's right. He knows where my locations are because I allowed him to have that kind of access. That's my child. That's my son. He's almost 25 years old. He's going to know how to go find his mama if he needs to go find his mama, if he's not hearing from his mama. So that's okay. And also, when I said that when people approach me, like they may harm me or whatever, like I respond with confidence. And I try my best. I didn't at the restaurant, but I try my best to stay calm so that they know like this person has a good head on their shoulders. They're strong. They're confident. They're not afraid of me. People will prey on you even more if they think that you're a scaredy cat. They're going to prey on you even more. You're going to be more of a target. So be extremely safe out there, as safe as you possibly can be, so that you're, able to make it home. I hope this was helpful. I hope that the 2 stories that I shared, and I have more stories. I mean, I've been chased by homeless people or unhoused people or people who had mental health issues, whether they were, drug induced episodes or episodes because they just are mentally ill. Like, I've been chased by people before. And that leads me to this. you should value your health and your physical abilities and strength, especially as we go into midlife and we're getting sometimes often more sedentary. Sometimes being fit can help save your life. It can help you run fast. It can help you fight someone off. It can help you get out of a situation if you are, about to fall. Maybe your agility, like my hiking helps with my agility. My jumping rope helps with my agility. And so the stronger I am, or the strongest that I can remain as I'm going through midlife, could help save my life. It could help save your life. And so when you're looking at fitness and you're thinking about being healthy, it's so much more than the physical. It's so much more than the aesthetics. Aesthetics and being physically attractive, like those are some of the benefits of it. But really, in midlife, or as parents, or as people caring for our parents, like whatever your situation is, the most important thing about physical fitness and being healthy mentally and physically is for your own protection, so that you can continue to move through life in a way that is safe and healthy and vibrant. And so when situations arise, like the ones that I've encountered some pretty dangerous situations. And like I said, I'm not going to use this whole episode to go through all of them, but there are more times that I've been in scary situations. And I am so grateful for the fact that I was safe. I've been chased through alleys by homeless people or people who are mentally ill. There was a guy who I was on a date with. We did like a little walking date through the neighborhood. I lived in the same neighborhood, but about a mile away. And we went on a little walking date. We started the walking date when it was getting dark. And I felt like it was safe because the guy that I was on a date with was also really fit. He was tall. I thought, he's good about his whereabouts. He can, fight somebody off if somebody crazy comes up to us. And I didn't even think that they would even do anything like that. I didn't think we would encounter anything crazy. But at the last leg of our walk, it was already dark. We had seen this guy on the first part of the walk who looked like he was a little off. And, I told the guy, I was like, hey, maybe we should kind of walk over this way. Because I don't know about this. I don't know about that guy. And he's like, it's fine. Clearly, he ain't grown up in the hood, because I'm like, how are you not worried about that? So I was like, well, maybe he just know how to fight, and we would be fine if the guy said something to us. So we kept walking. And then on the last leg, this was probably about a 5-mile walk. On the last leg, we see the guy again at a different part of the neighborhood. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's that guy. And he was going off again, like saying all these things to the air, just kind of talking to himself and the invisible person that was there. But when we walked towards him, I was like, we should probably cross the street. But the guy that I was with didn't look like he was worried. So we walked on past the guy, and he starts saying things to us. So I asked the guy that I'm with, I'm like, did you hear what he said? He said, what did he say? I said, you didn't hear him? This is right after we passed him. I said, he said to you, why are you with my homie's girl? So he was asking the guy that I was on a date with why he was with me, because I look like his homie's girl. And he was like, don't worry about that. So I'm like, this man ain't going to protect me if something happens. So we keep walking. And again, you feel things. So I felt like we had gone quite a little bit of a walk away from that. So I look back, this man is running towards us. I kid you not. This man is running full speed towards us. And this is a time when I was really, really fit, right? This is probably like 2010, 12, something like that. It was a while ago. So I was like, oh my gosh, he's coming. And he looked back and he was like, oh my goodness. And so we both took off running. This is something that could have been in a movie. I'm not kidding you. We're running, and I'm running faster than the guy that I'm with. And I cross the street and I go to the other side of the street. He crosses the street too. He has no concern about how safe I am. And he just takes off in another direction. So I'm like, shoot, I'm going to run home. So this guy, I see he doesn't know which way to go. I keep looking out the back, keep looking out the side. Like, where is this man? I know he's coming. So I just keep running. And I hear him yelling, but I don't know kind of like exactly where he is because I'm running through streets, I ran through an alley, and I finally make it home. And when I get like in front of my house, and the guy that I was on a date with also had parked at my house, and like it wasn't our first date, so I didn't just have some random guy at my house. So I get to my house, and then he soon thereafter comes to the street as well. I didn't go inside. I thought the guy we had lost him or whatever. So this is many, many years ago. So I don't remember like all the details. I just remember this was something out of a movie. And so, I see the guy that I'm on the date with, and he was like, hey, are you good? This was like right kind of like in front of my house. And my house was kind of in the back, my apartment in the back. So I hadn't gone up the stairs into the back, but we had met out front. He was like, are you good? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And I'm so disgusted with this man because he did not have my back. He did not care about me one bit. He was just trying to save himself. And so I was like, yeah, I'm good. Like have a nice evening. And I went in the house, and this man never reached out, never contacted me to see if I was really okay emotionally, physically, nothing. Never. I did not hear from that guy for months. I think I ended up running to him at like an event or something like that. And, we kind of did our little niceties or whatever, but I was completely disgusted with this man for his behavior and his just like not even protecting me or even trying to. You took me on a walk at night. Like you were supposed to protect me as a man. And I did not feel safe with you. And I didn't feel safe with you from jump when we saw him the first time and you were like not worried about him. And because of the events that I've experienced in my life, being robbed, and I've been robbed in my life, 6 times. So I'm already on heightened awareness about things because I don't want to experience the things that I've been through. I've had traumatic experiences, and yes, I've been to therapy for them, but I've had traumatic experiences. And so I'm always on a swivel, and I'm always like, what's going on around me? Am I safe? Like, that's just what happens when you've been through so many traumatic experiences. I was just disgusted with that man. And I say all of that to say that had I not been fit, had I not been able to run, had I not been doing my gym classes, had I not been lifting my weights and doing my jump rope and all of the things that I would have needed to get away from that situation, I could have been in some serious trouble. I don't know what that man would have done. I don't know what that man would have done. Why was he chasing us? What was his end goal with that? Was he trying to get me? Was he trying to get the dude? Like what? I don't know. All I know was I was terrified. And because of my ability to move my body and to get out of that situation, I was able to protect myself. So y'all, this is the last thing I'm going to say, and then I'm going to let you go. But stay safe. Stay your head on swivel. Keep that head on swivel. Make sure you're putting different places and security measures in place so people know what you are, where you are, and they are able to, you can ward off people with pepper spray and all of that. Let somebody have your tracking, somebody you trust. And then also make sure that you are physically fit and able as much as possible. I know some people have sicknesses and all that. I'm not talking to you about that, but as far as possible, like make sure that you are able to run if you need to run, or fight if you need to fight, or get out of a situation where you fall in, or somebody that you're with has fallen and you're able to help them get up and move on to somewhere that's more safe. Take care of yourself. Put those things in place to, stay safe as you are navigating the world alone as single women. It's important. Okay? So I know you took away, I usually say, I hope this helps. I know you took away some things that you need to be more mindful of in this episode. I know you did. And I said it was going to be 15 to 20 minutes. Well, it ended up being 40 minutes, and that's okay, because this is information that we need to hear. This is information that we need to discuss and talk about with our girlfriends. Make sure you're safe, sis. Make sure you're safe. Get it together and keep it together as much as you possibly can, mentally, physically, secure wise, as far as, your phone, being on your phone and just walking past people who look a little shady, and you just stay on your phone because you're so into your phone. We're so into our phones that we don't even often, we don't realize what's happening around us. I've seen it. I've seen it in wealthier neighborhoods where people are on their phones, and, unhoused and mentally ill people have gone into those communities as well. But because a lot of people in those communities haven't had some of the experiences that those of us who grew up in the hood have had, they're not even conscientious of what's happening around them and what could potentially happen to them if they don't get off that phone and pay more attention to what's going on and how they're moving. Don't be a sitting duck if you don't have to be a sitting duck. Get off of that phone. These phones, I'm telling you, they're going to get us in trouble. All right. I said I was done. I'm going to really be done now, okay? Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. I appreciate you. I'm always excited to do an episode that could potentially, help somebody or could have some information that you can share out with your community. Please do share the podcast out, or episodes that land well with you, or episodes that make you think about somebody else who might be able to benefit from the information that was shared. Share it out. Share it out. All right. Until the next time, I will see you later. Take care, guys. Thank you for being here again on the bright side of 50 with Carla Palmer. Take care.